Captain Elias Crow never believed in ghost stories. In 1897, he took command of the bark Eternal Dawn, a sturdy merchant ship running tea from Calcutta to Boston. His crew of 23 respected him hard-working men who followed orders without question. They called him Iron Elias for his refusal to turn back from storms. On November 12th, the Dawn hit a freak gale off the Carolinas. Sails shredded, the mainmast cracked. By dawn, they were drifting, battered but afloat. Elias plotted a course for the nearest land, Eben Reef, a forgotten cay 40 miles east of Cape Hatteras. No charts marked settlements there, just a warning, unsurveyed, avoid. They made landfall at dusk. The reef was narrow, a crescent of black sand and twisted mangroves enclosing a shallow lagoon. No surf broke the stillness. The water inside gleamed like oil under a blood-red sunset. Elias ordered the boats lowered. Crewman Thomas Reed later wrote in his journal, "Captain said we beach the ship tomorrow at high tide. Tonight we rest. Smoke rose from inland, someone lives here." They weren't wrong. Thin trails of gray smoke curled above the trees. Elias took 4 men: Reed, cook Samuel Pike, carpenter Josiah Holly, and young lookout Benji Cole to investigate. The rest stayed with the ship. The walk inland took 20 minutes through knee-deep muck. Reed described the air as too still, too heavy, like breathing soup. No birds called, no insects buzzed, just their boots sucking at the mud. Then they saw the village. 12 structures lined a perfect semicircle around a stone well. Low walls of coral block, thatched roofs sagging under moss. Every door stood open, every window dark. Elias called out. No answer. Inside the first house, a table set for supper. Tin plates with moldering fish stew. Chairs pushed back as if the family had stepped outside for a moment. Clothes hung neatly on pegs. A child's wooden boat lay by the hearth, half-painted. House 2, same, half-smoked pipe on the sill. Open Bible to Psalm 2:3. By House 7. The men noticed the pattern. Every home had exactly 3 chairs. Every hearth held 3 bowls. Elias said aloud, 36 souls. Where'd they go? The well was last, dry. Walls carved with faces simple, eyeless, mouths open in song. Pike dropped a pebble. It fell for 5 full seconds before a faint plink. Deep, Elias muttered. Deeper than the island. That's when Benji screamed. The boy pointed inland. Beyond the village, atop a low hill, stood a circle of standing stones, 13 slabs of basalt, each 7 feet tall, arranged like spokes around an empty center. A sound came from them, not wind, not waves, singing, high, wordless voices weaving in and out, perfect harmony. No human throat could produce it. The notes hung in the air, pulling at the chest, making teeth ache. Elias ordered retreat. They ran. Back at the boats, the shore party found the Dawn's crew frantic. During their absence, lights appeared in the village windows. Dozens of them pale yellow, steady, coming from houses that had been empty. Worse, footprints circled the beached boats. Bare feet, small, pressed deep into wet sand, leading from lagoon to jumble and back. Elias forbade leaving the beach. They built a fire from driftwood, posted watches. At midnight, the singing started again, louder, closer. Words formed in the melody, faint but clear. Come sing with us. Come home. Reed swore he saw shapes between the mangrove short figures, pale as bone, watching. When the fire flared from salt-soaked wood, the shapes vanished. By 2 a.m., men wept openly. Josiah Hall clutched his hammer and whispered prayers. Benji Cole rocked back and forth, humming the tune. Dawn brought calm. The village stood empty again. But now scratches marked the boat hulls, 3 vertical lines repeated in rows. Elias decided to leave at high tide. We take what water we can carry. No looking back, high tide came and went. The dawn wouldn't budge. The hull had settled into sand that wasn't there yesterday, soft, gray like clay. Panic set in. Samuel Pike tried swimming for help. He made 10 strokes, then sank straight down, screaming. Bubbles rose for a minute, then nothing. Night fell. Singing swelled from every direction. Lights filled every window. Shadows darted at the fire's edge, child-sized, barefoot, silent. One stepped forward, a girl, maybe 8. Soaked hair hung to her waist. Her eyes were milky white. She extended a hand. "Sing with us, Daddy." Elias fired his pistol. The bullet passed through. She giggled, a sound like breaking glass, and faded. Benji walked into the lagoon at 11 p.m. The crew watched him wade chest deep, then vanish. Minutes later, his voice joined the choir from the stones. By morning, 8 men were gone, including Elias. Thomas Reed hid in the longboat, scratching his final entries by matchlight. They aren't drowned. They never died. Stones keep them below. Singing calls more down. Village feeds on ships. Lights are bait. Will goes to their choir. 12 houses, 13 stones. 36 chairs, 37 voices now. Dawn won't float. Sand eats hull. Singing in my head. Won't stop. If you find this, burn the stones. Salt the well. Run. Coast Guard found the Eternal Dawn 3 weeks later, adrift 200 miles north. Empty. Logbook ended October 30th. Reed's journal wedged in the stern sheets. Waterlogged but legible. Salvage crews avoided Eben Reef. In 1921, a rum runner grounded there. 4 men vanished. Village had 13 houses. 1,943. Navy seaplane emergency landing. Pilot survived, babbling about white-eyed children singing psalms underwater. Village had 14 houses. No one returned after 1962. Hurricane Ana scoured the Cape clean. Satellite shots show only mangroves and reef. No village, no stones, no well. But fishing trawlers still report lights on moonless nights. A steady glow from the hill that isn't there. And if the wind is right, you can hear them singing, "Come home." Sing with us forever. Off the coast of Belize, there's an island the Garifuna fishermen call Vesper Key. On nautical charts, it's a speck of green amid turquoise uninhabited, overgrown with coconut palms and sea grape. Perfect for a day trip if you ignore the locals who cross themselves and steer wide. Tourists never listen. That's how Dr. Elena Voss learned the hard way. The invitation Elena was a botanist from Miami, studying rare orchids rumored to grow only on certain cays. In March 2019, she chartered a skiff from Placentia with her research assistant, Marcus Tate, and a local guide, Raul Mendez. Raul warned her, "Vesper no good, Doctora. Bones there, old bones, hungry bones." She laughed it off as superstition. They arrived at noon. The beach was pristine white sand, gentle waves. Inland, the jungle hummed with life. Parrots, cicadas, salt wind. Elena's field of notes began optimistically. Specimens abundant. Unknown epiphyte on palms bioluminescent. Tissue samples collected. Rawl stayed with the boat, chain smoking and muttering prayers. Elena and Marcus trekked a half-mile inland, machetes clearing vines. That's when they found the orchard. The trees that grew wrong, not coconut palms. Something else. 54 trees in precise rows, trunks bone white, bark peeling like old skin. No leaves, just clusters of orchid blooms at the top, pale pink, nodding in the breeze. Petals shaped like open hands. Marcus took soil samples. pH normal, no nutrients. Elena climbed one trunk smooth, warm to the touch, pulsing faintly under her fingers. Sap like blood, she wrote. Resin viscous, coppery scent. At the base of each tree, a depression in the earth, 3 feet wide, filled with fine white sand. Marcus dug into one. His trowel hit something hard 6 inches down. Teeth, human molars, perfectly preserved, arranged in spirals. Rawl called from the beach. Time go, tide change. They ignored him. The first bloom by late afternoon, Elena noticed her orchids glowing. Not bioluminescent phosphorescent like deep-sea creatures. The petals uncurled fully, revealing centers that looked like eyes black, wet, staring. Marcus felt dizzy. Roots moving, he said, pointing. Fine white filaments snaked through the soil, reaching toward their boots. Not roots, tendrils. Elena collected more samples, pricking her thumb on a thorn. Blood-welled. A nearby bloom tilted toward it, petals quivering. Rawl appeared, wild-eyed, dragging their packs. We leave now. Thunder rumbled offshore. They ran. Back at the skiff, Marcus's leg was numb. He pulled up his pant leg, 3 red welts, pulsing in rhythm. Like a heartbeat. Nightfall they pushed off as rain hit. But the engine sputtered. Rawl cursed the fuel line clogged with white fibers. While he cleared it, Elena examined Marcus. The welts had spread to his knee. Under the skin, something wriggled. Get it out, he gasped. She cut with her field knife. No blood, just pale threads weaving through muscle. They snapped like rubber bands, burrowing deeper. Marcus screamed. Lightning flashed. Vesper key glowed. Every tree in the orchard lit up pink orbs, pulsing in sync, visible even through the palms. Rawl restarted the engine. They motored into the storm, Vesper shrieking behind. Marcus passed out. Elena bandaged his leg, her thumb wound throbbing in time with his. The return they beached in Placentia at 2 a.m., soaked and shaking. Marcus rushed to the clinic. Tropical infection, they said. Elena's notes and samples made it back to her hotel. By morning, Marcus was worse. Delirious, whispering. They're singing. Inside, scans showed fibrous masses in his lungs, wrapping his ribs. Surgery failed. He flatlined at noon. Elena flew home alone. Rawl vanished, boat gone from its mooring. The changes back in Miami, Elena's thumb wound wouldn't heal. Pink flesh spread up her hand. She documented it daily. Day 7, dermatological anomaly, pale striations. Mild luminescence at night. Day 14, nails detaching. Petals emerging from cuticles. Her orchids bloomed indoors, impossible without soil or sun. 54 blossoms crowding her apartment. At night, they hummed a low drone like wind through shells. She stopped sleeping. Shapes moved in her peripheral vision, short figures tending the trees, barefoot, faces hidden by wide hats woven from palm fronds. Colleagues visited. Found her apartment locked, plants everywhere. Elena gone. Only her final recording left on a thumb drive. They're not trees, they're wombs. The orchard grows people. Old ones died making room. My samples woke them. Marcus was first. I'm next. The blooms need 36 more. Vesper waits. The Fisherman's Truth Garifuna elders nodded when police asked about Vesper Key. Bone orchard, they said. Spanish ship wrecked 1700s. 36 souls washed ashore. Trees took their meat. Gave them flowers instead. No one sails there now. Satellite photos show the orchard expanding pink dots spreading like cancer across the Cay. Last month, a drone operator flew too close. Feed cut at 300 feet. Recovered card showed the trees swaying in still air. Blossoms turned toward the lens. In the center row, a new trunk-fresh, human-shaped, topped with a single orchid the size of a face, petals parting slowly like lips. If you visit Belize waters after dusk and see pink lights pulsing on the horizon, anchor elsewhere. The orchard is always hungry. The old fisherman's warning still echoed in my ears, a raspy whisper against the crash of waves. "Stay away from Siren's Cove," he'd said, his eyes cloudy with memories I couldn't comprehend. The island doesn't like visitors, but I was a historian, a chaser of myths, and the legend of the lost ship, the sea serpent, was too tantalizing to ignore. They said it vanished near that very island a century ago, laden with treasures beyond imagination. So here I was, my small boat, the Seeker, cutting through the unnaturally calm waters surrounding the Isle of Eriador. The island was a fortress of jagged black rock and dense, twisted trees. A perpetual mist clung to its shores, giving it an ethereal, almost predatory feel. As I navigated towards the infamous Siren's Cove, a strange silence fell. The birds stopped singing. The wind died. Even the waves seemed to hold their breath. The cove itself was a crescent of black sand, framed by towering cliffs that looked like skeletal fingers reaching for the sky. The water within was a peculiar, almost luminous shade of turquoise, beautiful and unsettling all at once. I dropped anchor a safe distance from the shore and prepared my drone. I wasn't foolish enough to set foot on that sand just yet. The drone, a tiny eye in the sky, buzzed to life and zipped towards the cove. On my monitor, the black sand shimmered. As the drone flew lower, I noticed something glinting beneath the shallow water. It was metal, old and corroded, but undeniably the rib cage of a ship. Could it be the sea serpent? Excitement warred with a primal sense of dread. I directed the drone further into the cove. That's when I saw them. Shapes. Dozens of them scattered along the waterline and partially submerged in the turquoise sea. They looked like statues, weathered and ancient, depicting people in various poses of agony and despair. Their stone faces were frozen in silent screams, their hands outstretched as if pleading for help. A chill, colder than the sea air, crept down my spine. This wasn't in any of the legends. The drone's camera zoomed in on one of the figures. It was a woman, her stone dress flowing as if caught in a breeze that didn't exist. Her eyes were wide with terror, fixed on something out at sea. Something in my direction. My blood ran cold. The drone's signal suddenly sputtered, the image on my screen dissolving into static. A high-pitched whine erupted from the drone's motors before it abruptly cut out. On my monitor, the last thing I saw was the drone plummeting into the turquoise water, vanishing without a splash. Panic began to set in, my state-of-the-art drone gone. I tried to start the Seeker's engine. Nothing. It coughed and sputtered, then fell silent. I checked the fuel, the battery, everything. It was all fine. The engine was dead, stranded, adrift off the coast of a cursed island. The old fisherman's words came back to me, no longer a quaint piece of local folklore, but a dire prophecy. The sun began to dip below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and blood red. As darkness consumed the sky, a soft, ethereal glow began to emanate from the cove. The turquoise water itself was lighting up, casting an eerie luminescence onto the black sand and the petrified figures. It was beautiful, hypnotic, and utterly terrifying. Then I heard it. A song. It wasn't human. It was a melody that seemed to bypass my ears and sink directly into my soul, a sound of pure, heart-wrenching sorrow that promised comfort and oblivion. It was a siren's call, just like the legends said. I clamped my hands over my ears, but it was useless. The melody seeped through, pulling at my consciousness, whispering promises of peace, of an end to all struggle. My gaze was drawn back to the shore, to the glowing water. The statues, they weren't statues anymore. They were moving, slowly, stiffly. They began to stir. The woman in the stone dress turned her head, her petrified eyes locking directly onto my boat. A silent scream ripped from my throat. The figures began to wade into the glowing water, their movements becoming more fluid, more graceful. They were coming for me. The song grew louder, more insistent. It promised to reunite me with lost loved ones, to erase every regret I'd ever had. It was a beautiful lie, a sweet poison for the mind. I had to fight it. Scrambling through my supplies, my hands shaking, I found my emergency flare gun. It was a long shot, a desperate hope for a passing ship that probably wasn't there, but it was better than surrendering to the song. The figures were getting closer, their forms gliding through the water with an unnatural speed. Their faces, once frozen in stone, were now animated with a hungry, desperate longing. I fired a flare into the night sky. It exploded in a brilliant crimson starburst, momentarily drowning out the cove's sickly turquoise glow. The song faltered. The advancing figures paused, their heads tilting in unison towards the alien light. For a moment, there was silence. Blessed, terrifying silence. In that brief respite, I fumbled with the engine's ignition one more time, praying to anyone or anything that might be listening. The engine roared to life. I didn't wait. I slammed the throttle forward, and the Seeker lurched away from the island, away from that accursed cove. I didn't look back, not until Eridor was just a dark smudge on the horizon. The song had faded, but the melody was seared into my memory. The image of those moving statues, their desperate eyes, will haunt my nightmares forever. I found the treasure I was looking for, in a way. Not gold or jewels, but a horrifying truth. Some legends are not just stories. Some places are better left undisturbed. And some songs, once heard, can never be forgotten. Stay away from Siren's Cove. The island doesn't just dislike visitors, it collects them. Thank you for listening, and remember to stay safe out there.